She realized that her personal journey had transformed into something much bigger than herself. The numbers that had once been her personal salvation were now dancing a cosmic dance of transformation on a global scale. With tears in her eyes, Maya looked at the clock, 1:11. She smiled, recognizing once again the subtle magic of numbers in her life. With a deep sigh, she wondered what new melodies the universe had in store for her and for all those whose lives she had touched. The real work happens in the heart of each person, in the daily decision to live with compassion and awareness. These words resonated deeply, not just in her community, but across the country. Maya began receiving letters from people everywhere, sharing how the principles of her program had touched their lives. As she read these letters late at night in her office, Maya felt a wave of gratitude and humility. Maya, however, felt uncomfortable with all this attention. She knew that the true miracle wasn't in the numbers themselves, but in people's willingness to open up to each other and to new possibilities. In an interview for a major national newspaper, Maya surprised everyone by saying, "The numbers are just the beginning." A particularly touching case was that of two neighbors who had been in a bitter dispute over a fence for years. After participating in the symphony of numbers, they not only resolved their dispute but also started a joint community garden project. As stories like this spread, interest in Maya's program grew exponentially. Journalists from all over the country began to appear, eager to document what was being called the miracle of numbers. It was a visualization exercise where participants were encouraged to listen to the music of their personal numbers and find harmony with the numbers of others around them. The impact was immediate and profound. People who previously struggled to connect began to find common ground. Old conflicts in the community began to dissolve as people recognized the interconnection of their numerical melodies. She saw the numbers not just as symbols, but as musical notes in a great cosmic symphony. Each person, each community, had its own unique melody. And when these melodies harmonized, something magical happened. Inspired by this vision, Maya introduced a new element to her program, the Symphony of Numbers. Now, it was a holistic approach to personal and community well-being, with Buddhist numerology serving as a guiding thread that united all elements. Maya spent the following months refining this new approach. She worked tirelessly to create a curriculum that seamlessly integrated the practical aspects of finance with the deeper spiritual teachings she had learned. One day, while meditating, Maya had a powerful vision, and now, she realized, her true mission was just beginning. With a smile, Maya opened her notebook and began to sketch ideas for the future. The numbers danced before her eyes, no longer as abstract symbols, but as bridges to a world of infinite possibilities. With the incorporation of meditation and mindfulness practices, Maya's program had evolved into something far beyond a simple financial education course. Maya observed all of this with a sense of awe and gratitude. She had started this journey seeking answers in numbers, but had discovered something much more valuable, the transformative power of human connection, guided by deep spiritual principles. As she prepared for the next phase of her work, Maya reflected on the path that had brought her here. Each challenge, each number, each person she had encountered along the way had been a teacher. Back in her city, Maya began to incorporate these new teachings into her work. The program evolved once again, now including mindfulness and meditation practices along with the lessons in numerology and finance. The impact was profound. Participants reported not only improvements in their finances, but also in their relationships, health, and overall well-being. The community as a whole seemed to vibrate at a higher frequency of compassion and mutual understanding. After a lecture at an international conference, she was approached by an elderly Buddhist monk. "Your numbers dance with grace," he said with an enigmatic smile. "But have you considered the music that moves them?" Intrigued, Maya spent hours talking with the monk. He shared with her ancient meditation and visualization practices that went beyond simple numerology. These techniques, he explained, allowed a deeper understanding of the interconnection of all things. In the months that followed, Maya embarked on a journey of delicate balance. She traveled to conferences and consultancies, sharing her vision with a wider audience. But with each return, she dove back into local work, always seeking ways to deepen and expand the program's impact. One day, during one of these trips, Maya had an encounter that would once again change the course of her journey. Observing this spontaneous demonstration of compassion and solidarity, Maya had an epiphany. The true power of her work wasn't in the numbers or techniques she had taught, but in the web of human connections she had helped weave. With this realization, Maya made a decision. She would accept some of the invitations to share her experience, but with one condition: her main focus would remain on the community that had started it all. One of the first participants in Maya's original program, a young mother named Sophia, was diagnosed with a serious illness. The news spread quickly through the community, and Maya was impressed with the response. Without any central coordination, people from all neighborhoods mobilized to help. Some organized a fundraising campaign, others took turns caring for Sophia's children, and a group of elderly people formed a prayer and meditation circle. On one hand, the opportunity to expand her impact was tempting. She could bring the principles of Buddhist numerology to a global stage, potentially transforming millions of lives. On the other hand, she feared losing the intimate connection with the community that had been the heart of her work until then. Amidst this internal turmoil, an unexpected event brought everything into perspective. She had started this journey seeking to save her career, but had found something much more precious: a path to make a real difference in the world. The success of Maya's program didn't go unnoticed beyond the city limits. Invitations for lectures and consultancies began to arrive from all over the country. Renowned companies and even foreign governments showed interest in her unique approach. Maya found herself at a crossroads. One night, walking through one of the neighborhoods where the program had been implemented, Maya stopped in front of a newly painted mural. In it, numbers and Buddhist symbols intertwined with scenes from the community's daily life. In the center, in bright letters, was written, "Together, we are infinite." Maya felt tears in her eyes. She knew that the true power wasn't in the numbers themselves, but in the way they connected people, inspiring them to see beyond their immediate circumstances. As the year came to an end, the results began to speak for themselves. Crime rates fell, small businesses flourished, and most importantly, there was a palpable sense of hope and community that didn't exist before. In each neighborhood, inspiring stories emerged. A group of young people in an underprivileged neighborhood used the principles of the program to start a recycling cooperative. In another, elderly people formed a circle of mutual support, sharing resources and skills. Maya observed all of this with a mixture of pride and humility. Maya knew she was taking a big risk, but something inside her said this was the right path. In the months that followed, Maya worked tirelessly to make her vision a reality. She faced resistance from bureaucrats, skepticism from some community leaders, and even doubts from her own colleagues. But with each obstacle, she remembered the transformative power she had witnessed in her original community. Slowly, the program began to take shape. Each neighborhood, she explained, her eyes shining with renewed enthusiasm, will have its own version of the program, adapted to local needs. We'll train community leaders to be the facilitators, using numerology not just as a financial tool, but as a path to connection and mutual understanding. The proposal was met with a mixture of skepticism and intrigue. Would it be possible to implement something so innovative on a large scale? Determined to reconnect with her roots, Maya dedicated an entire weekend to meditation and study of the Buddhist texts that had inspired her program. It was during this reflection that she had a bold idea. On the following Monday, to everyone's surprise, Maya proposed a radically different approach to expanding the program. Instead of a top-down implementation, she suggested a decentralized model based on Buddhist principles of community and interdependence. Issues of funding, logistics, and politics threatened to suffocate the essence of what made the program special. One night, exhausted after a long day of negotiations, Maya found herself looking at the night sky. The stars seemed to form patterns, reminding her of the numbers that had started her journey. She realized she was losing sight of the true purpose of her work. He was impressed with the results of the program and wanted to implement it throughout the city. It was an incredible opportunity. but Maya felt a tightness in her stomach. The scale of the project would be much larger than anything she had ever managed. In the days that followed, Maya found herself immersed in meetings with city officials, community leaders, and potential corporate partners. The enthusiasm was palpable, but so were the complications. They were a path to connection, to transformation, not just of herself, but of an entire community. With that thought, she picked up her notebook and began to plan the next phase of her journey. The future, she knew, was full of infinite possibilities, and she could hardly wait to see what numbers destiny would bring next. As Maya's program gained recognition, new challenges arose. One morning, she received an unexpected phone call from the city mayor, or when she walked through the community and felt the change in the air, an almost palpable sensation of hope and possibility. One night, months after the beginning of her journey, Maya was sitting in her apartment, reflecting on everything that had happened. Her gaze fell on the clock, 22:22. She smiled, remembering how it all started with a simple number on a screen. Maya realized she had found her true purpose. Numbers weren't just symbols or tools for personal success. She had started this journey seeking to save her career, but now realized she was participating in something much bigger. The impact of the program didn't go unnoticed. Local newspapers began to publish articles about the initiative. Other companies showed interest in replicating the model. Maya found herself at the center of a small revolution, but for her, the true reward came in the quiet moments. When she saw the gleam of understanding in a student's eyes, the students weren't just learning to better manage their money, they were transforming. Stories of small acts of kindness began to spread throughout the community. An elderly lady, who previously could barely pay her bills, now led a support group for other elderly people in financial difficulties. A young man who previously flirted with crime found a new purpose in becoming a volunteer tutor in the program. Maya observed all of this with a mixture of joy and amazement. Besides, she argued, her eyes shining with passion, it's the right thing to do. The program started small, with classes at a local community center. Maya used numbers not just to teach basic math, but to illustrate deeper concepts. The number 8, for example, with its infinity shape, became a lesson about the constant flow of giving and receiving. As the weeks passed, something extraordinary began to happen. Using the principles of Buddhist numerology, she developed a curriculum that not only taught basic finance concepts, but also promoted values such as compassion, generosity, and interdependence. The CEO, initially skeptical, was convinced when Maya demonstrated how the project could improve the company's image and potentially open new markets. That night, Maya made a decision that would change not only her life, but that of her entire community. It was time to use her knowledge for something bigger than herself. On the following Monday, Maya surprised everyone by proposing a new project, a financial education program for underprivileged communities. Walking through the park near her office, she saw a group of children playing. A girl tripped and fell, and immediately the other children ran to help her. Maya stopped, watching the scene with a lump in her throat. There was the answer she was looking for. Numbers, she realized, weren't just tools for personal success. They were bridges for connection, for compassion. And slowly but surely, the company's numbers began to improve. But not everything was rosy. The more Maya delved into her numerological studies, the more she realized something was missing. Financial success was gratifying, yes, but there was a void that the numbers in her bank account couldn't fill. It was on a Friday afternoon, after a particularly stressful meeting, that Maya had an epiphany. In moments of doubt, she remembered the dream with the dancing numbers. Coincidence or not, Maya began to notice numerical patterns everywhere. The number 18, which she had learned symbolizes material success in Buddhism, appeared constantly, on car plates, room numbers, even in the total of her coffee bill. Gradually, the gears began to move. Projects that seemed doomed to failure gained new life. Unexpected partnerships formed. Maya barely slept in the following weeks. Her days were filled with intense meetings, thorough analyses, and crucial decisions. At night, She pored over ancient texts of Buddhist numerology, seeking inspiration and guidance. The implementation of her plan wasn't easy. There was resistance, of course. Some colleagues looked at her with distrust, others with barely disguised envy. But Maya remained firm, guided by a confidence that even she didn't fully understand. "It's risky," said the CEO, his eyes shining with a mixture of skepticism and hope. "But it might be our only chance." Maya left the meeting room feeling both exhausted and euphoric. She had gotten her chance. Now everything depended on her calculations being correct. As she walked back to her desk, Maya couldn't help but notice the clock on the wall, 12:12. A smile formed on her lips. Maybe, she thought, the universe was really conspiring in her favor. With a confidence that surprised everyone, including herself, she requested a meeting with the board of directors. "Gentlemen," she began, her voice firm despite her nervousness, "I believe I've found a solution to our crisis." What followed was a presentation that left everyone speechless. Maya explained how by reorganizing certain investments and focusing on specific areas, the company could not only save itself but thrive. Little did she know how right she was, and how this change would affect not only her, but everyone around her. The next morning, Maya arrived at the office with new energy. While her colleagues continued to panic, she began to analyze the company's numbers in a completely new way. Patterns that previously went unnoticed now jumped out at her. Maya began to see connections, possibilities that no one else could see. Fascinated, she barely noticed the hours passing. When she finally looked at the clock, it was 3:33 in the morning. Maya felt a chill. Could it be a coincidence? That night, for the first time in years, Maya dreamed. In her dream, she danced amid luminous numbers that floated around her. Upon waking, a certainty invaded her. Her life was about to change drastically. The website was different from anything Maya had ever seen. It didn't promise easy riches or magical solutions. Instead, it spoke of self-discovery, of karma, of how each number vibrated with a unique energy. Maya found herself diving into a new world. She learned about 9, the number of completion and new beginnings. About 33, the master number of compassion. Each new concept seemed to resonate with something deep inside her. That night, unable to sleep, Maya was browsing distractedly on the internet when an advertisement caught her attention. Discover the hidden power of Buddhist lucky numbers. Normally, she would ignore something like this, but something compelled her to click. What Maya didn't know was that that simple click was about to trigger a series of events that would transform not only her life, but that of her entire community. Her life was a predictable sequence of identical days, until that fateful morning in September 2024. The office was buzzing with the news. The company was on the verge of bankruptcy. While her colleagues panicked, Maya felt a strange calm. Her eyes landed on the digital clock, 11:11. A shiver ran down her spine. Did you know that numbers can carry a special energy, and that some have a higher probability of appearing in September 2024? It may seem like superstition, but when we combine the wisdom of Buddhist teachings with trend analysis, the chances become clear. Maya always thought numbers were just cold symbols on a sheet of paper. At 33, a respected financial analyst in her company, she lived surrounded by spreadsheets and graphs.